How to solve reversing linked list using recursion. Whenever recursion solution to be solved, we need 3 points to be remembered. Whenever a recursive solution is your point to be solved. First point, identify base condition. Next thing, how to move towards base condition, base case. Third one is important when you try to solve more complex recursive solution is to identify changing params. What I mean by changing params is method parameters. Method params. In case of Fibonacci, I have only a n being changed. Changing parameter is only n. In case of problem for adding counting number of carry forwards, I will have another two variable references a and b, and along with that I need to take one more reference carry value to be a changing parameter. When I am adding a and b and I am trying to find number of carry forwards that are happening while adding a and b, which are decimal numbers. In this case, there are three varying or changing params. So identifying changing params in a recursive solution is another important thing to be taken care. In reversing a linked list, I have head pointer pointing to the first node. When I say recursion is about going to the base case and doing a reverse engineering from then. So how do I identify base case? Base case is this 3. When I reach node 3, that means I have reached last node. That's the place I have to start solving the problem. My base case would be how when the last node is reached, I need to return something. So I'm calling my recursive function as recursive reverse. This changing param, as of now I can identify the changing param as the node. Let's take only one changing param. If I find any changing parameters from one method call to another method call in the recursion, I need to pass in as a method parameter. That's about identifying the changing param. So recursive reverse is my recursive function. I need to identify the base condition is when I find the last node. That would mean if my node dot next is null. If I reach this, my next is null. Then I will return my node in the method stack. So let's identify what's happening. So recursion of 1 is called because node in the beginning is head. Recursion of 1 is called. Recursion of 1 is gonna call recursion of 2 if its next is not null. So once next is pointing to 2, it's not null, then it will have to call recursion of 2 as well. So I will call recursive reverse with passing node dot next. I'm calling recursion of 2. This will call next again. This finds 2's next is 3. It's not null. It will come here and then again go recursion of 3. When recursion of 3 is reached, I am passing this if condition, returning node. So recursion of 3 is returning node 3, and this is out of my stack frame inside recursive method call. Okay, now this recursive is gonna return this node in the final case where it reaches null. I will call it node return. This is the node 3. I need to return node 3 as my first node. So my recursive function is return this reference only. Another important case in a recursive case is return. What you return in each method call, each recursive call. Where you keep this return statement is very important and in understanding the recursive solution. What I mean by returning the node returned from the recursive stack, the same return is being returned in every stack frame. Even recursive call of 2 would return me 3, and recursive call of 1 would again return me 3. So 3 is my head node. Before returning, I need to do some linkerel reference change. I need to make 3 to point to 2. This is my first case possibly, and my second is to remove this link. When recursion of 3 is called and it is gonna pass the base condition, it is gonna be returned here. It won't go to the next call, next method execution instructions. It is returning here recursive call with node 3. I'm in the recursive call of node 2. This node is pointing to node 2. I need to make this node 3 to point to node 2. How to make this is my node. I'm in the method stack of recursive call on 2. My node reference is pointing to 2. I need to make this content here pointing to null to point to 2 in case of recursive stacks of 2. In the recursive stack of 1, I need to make this point to 1. How can I make this using this reference? I cannot use this returned reference because recursive stack of 2 is gonna return me 3. Again, recursive call on 1 is also should be returning 3, as 3 is my head node when I reverse. I cannot use this reference variable to make return next to point to 2. I need to identify the way to make this here pointing to null to point back to 2 using the node. Only reference I have is node. How can I make this point to this using node, which is 2? I need to make, so what is nodes next? Nodes next is here, which is pointing to 3. Its next is here, which is pointing to null, right? So what is my instruction to make this possible? Instruction 1 is I have a node pointer, node dot next is this next is this content here. I need to make this value of pointing to node, which is node itself. I am using only this reference, which is my method param, a changing param. Using the same reference, I am going to refer to the next node and making its same node. This is same node. In case of 1, I need to go to 2, which is this next. Again, its next, I need to make it back 1. That's what this instruction is doing. Node dot next back to node. This is the first instruction. Now I can easily remove this link. And node dot next, I will make it null. So this being removed, 3 is having 2 as its next. When it recursion of 2 is removed from the stack frame, recursion of 1 is called. I again make call here. It is not gonna use return as a reference to do the link change, because return is only this. Return is only 3. Once I return finally in the recursive function call, this is gonna be my new head. This is gonna be new head. So once next is 2, 2's next make it 1 itself. That's the instruction, very important instruction. And then just removing this link rel is second instruction. This is how you can use the recursion to reverse the linked list. I identify the base case is finding this last node and returning there. How do I move towards the base case? I am moving from node 1 to node 2 to node 3. I am calling recursion one after other, or recursion of 1 calls recursion of 2, 2 calls recursion of 3. 3 is where my base condition, because that's where I'm gonna stop. That's my last node. So to identify last node, node.next becomes null. Start doing a reverse engineering from there. Now my return is gonna be 3. The return is 3. I'm gonna return that element finally. Before that, I need to do a reference change so that 3 points to 2. That's the important instruction here. Let's solve this problem using Java. Thank you.